Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about Moon Knight episode 5. We have something interesting to talk about today, so I can't wait to jump into this video really quick. If you haven't seen the 5th episode of Moon Knight, please watch it before you watch this video. This video, of course, is going to deal heavily into some of the psychology that happened, and this is the big psychology unearthing, uncovering, and a little bit of Marc Spector's past growing up and some of that trauma. So watch that video first before you watch this. But with all that being said, let's jump into it. All right, so from a psychological standpoint, this episode revolves around what Dr. Harrow called the organizing principle. And this organizing principle, I believe, is the theme for Moon Knight, not only this episode, but for the entire TV series as a whole. According to Dr. Harrow, and I quote, "The struggling mind will often build places to seek shelter for different aspects of the self from our most traumatic memories. It's called just an organizing principle," end quote. What Harrow is describing here is DID, dissociative identity disorder, in which the different personalities are shelters from traumatic experiences and are kept away from those memories, which is why dissociative amnesia happens. And throughout the 5 episodes, we've been seeing these flashes of dissociative amnesia. The different personalities don't remember or don't know what the other personality did or experienced. Harrow uses the example of how some see a castle, a maze, a library, and Marc adds a psychiatric unit. Basically, the organizing principle is how people view things to make sense of what's going on around them. And according to the goddess Tauret, you may perceive this realm, which is the mind, as something that is more easily recognizable to you. So for example, if I saw a castle, I would think it's used to protect something, because that's what castles are. They're big fortresses to protect the king, the treasure, the princess, so on and so forth. But in this case, it would be protecting Stephen from his childhood trauma. A maze is used to hide something, like how Marc would hide the truth of his mother from Stephen, or how he would hide how Al-Fuli's death, right, from Layla. A library contains knowledge that only Marc knows, but won't say out loud. And the psych ward represents the chaos and the fragmented perceptions that needs to be cured, or in this case, balanced. So of course, let's talk about this psych ward, since this is the setting of this episode. This is what Marc Spector was alluding to. This is where we see all of this happen. So the psych ward, of course, even though being a first for Tauret, has been hinted at since the 2nd episode, when Stephen was given a brochure from Human Resources about possibly seeking some mental health counseling and therapy. At this point, Marc and Stephen have come to acknowledge that things aren't right, and according to Marc, he now realizes the insanity of what's going on. Right? The psych ward, which represents the mind, contains different rooms and different memories. We see the memory of Moon Knight fighting a jackal in the restroom. This was in the 1st episode. Khonshu manipulating the stars, which was a few episodes back. The people that Marc killed when he was a mercenary. When Marc became Moon Knight for the first time in Egypt, when he met Khonshu. His mother's Shiva, when she passed away. And of course, his traumatic childhood. Now, really quick, just to remind you guys, in the comic books, Marc's dissociative identity disorder started when he found out that Yitz Perlman had been killing Jews for the Nazis. But in this episode, it was due to his younger brother's death and exacerbated by the resentment and abuse from his mother, and also from his mother passing away. Locking himself in his room, to avoid his mom, who's outside knocking on the door furiously, Marc, for the first time, switches into Stephen Grant. Stephen Grant, of course, appears, has no idea what's going on, finds the room a total mess. Knowing that his mom won't appreciate that, he starts picking up the pencils and putting them away. Stephen finds out that then he was made up. And we see the poster, when danger is near, Stephen Grant has no fear. Stephen here represents cleanliness, neatness, and organization as opposed to Marc's messy room. And it's no surprise that they see things differently, especially when it comes to their mom. Stephen sees his mom as an important figure in his life, who he regularly calls on the phone and talks to about his day. Marc, on the other hand, sees his mom as someone who he wants to run away from. And later on, that we see when he turns 18, he leaves his parents, much to the dismay and charging of his dad to stay, and leaves for the US military. As we go back to this organizing principle, it's important because Marc and Stephen are two in the same body. Bringing balance and unity is the goal of treatment for those who have DID. What we're seeing is the struggle manifest itself vividly on screen as we're watching this, as the two dive into their memories to come to an understanding of what's happening. So this understanding comes from this question that Harrow asks Marc. The question is, do you think you created Stephen to hide all the awful things you've done in your life? Or do you think Stephen created Marc to punish the world for what your mother did to you? Now, of course, this is piggybacking off this idea that dissociative identity is caused by childhood trauma. This is Marc losing his younger brother when they were exploring the cave, and creating Stephen, or having Stephen as a personality who is quote unquote the good boy, the person who's obedient, who doesn't do anything wrong, to live the nice, quiet, good life that Marc couldn't live because of the trauma that he felt, and of course going to the military and leaving his family. And then on the other end, it's, this idea of, Marc taking out his anger for losing his brother, for the abuse that he felt, trying to protect himself from all of the bad things that happened. It's him trying to figure out how he's going to live with his life and balance, that trauma and some of the things that has happened to him. All right, and this is all I have for you guys. The setting of the psychiatric ward perfectly fits dissociative identity, with all the different hallways, all the different rooms, storing traumatic events, experiences that Stephen and Marc were able to see and relive as they try to figure out what's going on. And really, this is what makes psychological issues very, very difficult for the person who's affected by them. It's this idea that reality is changed, it's warped, you don't know what's real, or what's fake. The mind, quote unquote, plays tricks on you, and you feel trapped within your own thoughts. So as I said earlier, DID is greatly helped through use of therapy, being able to talk this out. And I am planning on doing a video on Dr. Harrow himself and some of his therapeutic techniques and the therapy used and how he handles himself when he is talking to Marc and Stephen, when he's asking them questions. So I think that video is going to be a really good one as well. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching this video all the way through. Of course, if there are no comments, questions, concerns, or complaints, don't forget to like this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you guys have any comments, questions, thoughts, or concerns, or if you have any theories about this 5th episode, let me know in the comments, and hopefully you guys get something out of this. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Peace.